instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod. Well, here we go with another episode of the Flagstick Podcast brought to you by Golf PEI. Golf Presented by Ireland is a premier Canadian golf destination boasting the most number of golf courses per capita in the country with over 400 fairways. Closer than you can imagine, top-tier accommodations, and exquisite culinary experiences. This is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book, and you can book those vacations at golfpei.ca. Make sure you're checking us out across all social media networks, platforms, whatever you call them, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Please subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, and we certainly do encourage you to check out the YouTube channel. Lots of cool stuff going on over there. Like us and click the notification bell to make sure that you never miss a single episode.
One note there, Google Podcast is going away in just over a week, so I think they're transforming everything to their podcasts over to YouTube. So
even more important to subscribe to us on YouTube, because you won't be able to
follow us on some other system.
Google Podcast us. Don't Google platform. Podcast us anymore. Go to YouTube.
There you go. What's going on, Jeffrey?
Wow. I'll tell you, what's going on is there's a lot of golf courses opening this weekend.
Oh my God. I had to literally, I put it on my personal Instagram story or whatever, just to like save myself some DMs and texts. My phone yesterday was just stupid is what it was. Just people, hey, what courses are look, we have a calendar.
Yeah.
Please go to it. That's where I put all the information.
That's why we have the calendar.
Why we have the calendar.
Not that we don't like to talk to everybody, but leave us alone. Go to the website.
Yeah, everything that we can publish is on there. I guarantee you, we've had lots of discussions with lots of golf courses that are considering dates for their opening here in Eastern Ontario and Western Quebec, but haven't made them official. So unless they're official, they will not be on the calendar. There's nothing that's on there that, unless the course says to us it's projected, whatever the case, that will be indicated on there. We don't have a secret stash of course dates that we're keeping aside that we're not putting on there.
Yeah, we're hoarding those for ourselves. That's what we're doing.
Don't message me and say you went down the highway and you saw two people out on a particular golf course and they must be open, and why are they not on the calendar? Because guaranteed I've already talked to that golf course and they're not open, and maybe that's their maintenance staff or whatever that's out there. Everything is there. Go to flagstick.com. We have lots of links everywhere. Thousands of people a day are heading to that. We will update it as fast as we can. And I know I put, I think, 2 more courses on there this morning. I think there were 6 or 7 more yesterday. Thank you to the owners, pros, managers for reaching out, other listeners and things as well that are passing on like newsletters, notification, things that are official. Obviously we verify everything that goes up there, but everything we know is up there. And hey, you know what, if you're going out to play a round of golf, have fun. Easter weekend, getting to play golf here in this part of the country, pretty good stuff.
Yeah, if I hear anybody complaining about it's
course
wet,
conditions,
it's wet, the greens aren't running very fast, or any of that garbage, I might have to come and just give you a slap. I don't want to hear it. It's freaking it's March, man. Like if you're playing golf in March and you're complaining about anything, then you can just stop right now. Just stop.
100%. And you know, it's wild. The number of people obviously got out early when some of the courses were open for a little bit. And now, I mean, I just talked to a young guy who I think he's got 4 rounds in already. So, I mean, good on you for getting out there and doing that. That's awesome. So, but I don't really
got to work that index, got to get those digits in early, get that cap down.
Well, but it's before the official season, so it's not going to matter. But I mean, at least their ability will get better. They just can't post the scores.
There you go. Your ability.
That's a good thing. Now I know I have it later. Crazy. I know I have it later in here or whatever. But you know, when are you going to get your first round in?
Me?
Idea?
Oh, yeah. God. Forget that. May. No. Maybe. I might. I don't know. It depends. I mean, not anytime soon.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, injury boy. Okay, fair enough.
Right now, the body doesn't think that it's going to be swinging a golf club for a while. I mean, maybe after the Masters. I can't see
you all fired up.
I can't see it before that. I mean, usually that's it. The Masters does get me kind of pumped for golf. Things get a little,
Yeah.
the green starts to pop a little bit out there,
Hmm.
after the weather starts to get warmer at night and things start to grow a little bit. Right now,
Yeah.
it's still minus whatever at night. I mean, stuff's not growing very well when it's
Yeah.
minus 3 or 4 at night. And
I'm seeing some great stuff from some of the the teams taking care of the golf courses out there. I saw some nice first cuts from Smith Falls. They posted some beautiful stuff
yeah.
there. Tarps coming off all
Oh, I
over
was
the
at
place.
Castleman. I saw the
Yeah,
oof.
it's
That's looking
nice.
sharp. Castle View, those greens are looking really pretty right now.
Yeah, it's really looking good that way. Not a lot of damage, but shout out to those greens crews that are working hard already to get these courses ready and going for the season. And it doesn't stop from here on for them. So
No, they work hard
they're
all year long, but there's two
yeah,
times during the year where they probably work a little harder than, and right now is probably one of the hardest because you're really trying to get the courses ready.
yeah.
And that a lot of times means pulling tarps, pulling snow fences, getting out there and cutting the greens clear. I'm at this point, I think most of the ice and stuff there's no snow left.
Yeah,
So I mean,
I think that's
ice is
gone.
gone and you're
Yeah,
not
but
dealing
I
with
mean
that.
things
But
like like things like benches and all that stuff's got to go
mhm,
back out there, and somebody's got to do
yep,
it. Shout out as well to volunteers at golf courses, because a lot
yeah.
of courses will lean on their membership to come out, do a cleanup day, things like that. So if you can help out, or maybe maybe just phone up your golf course and say, hey, is there anything I can do to help out the crew? So don't just sit there and complain
Yeah,
about,
if you're a
hey, our
member at a
course not
golf
open.
course, if you're a
Yeah,
member at a golf course and you're not out
reach
there
out.
helping them or reaching out to see if there's anything you can do to help, then
Yeah, please
what
do.
kind of
Please do.
member are you? Ask yourself that question. What kind of
Well, a
member
paying
are you
member.
if you're not at least inquiring about helping get your course open that little bit earlier for
Yeah,
you and your fellow members?
you got it. You got
So
it. You
get
got
it
it.
done. Scotty Mac.
Yeah,
We got an awesome show this
we do.
week. We have awesome shows every week. I know I say that all the time, but we do have an awesome show this week. We're gonna get you all caught up. Obviously, that's what we like to do. But the back nine is where things get
Hmm.
wild and crazy and interesting because we're only 2 weeks away from the premier major of the season. We'll
Maybe
call it the first major of the season. It
the inaugural.
might not be
Yeah,
the premier major for everybody. It's
sure.
not the premier major for me, but certainly
No,
kickstarts or jump starts the season a little bit.
yeah,
Masters is 2 weeks away, so we thought we'd get out early on this and not
yeah.
wait until everybody else is doing Masters previews. And we're going to talk about the Masters in the back nine this week. We're going to go over some things, what we like about some of the holes in the golf course, what we like about the field, what we like about the tournament, talk about some of the players, talk about some of the Canadians, just kind of our own little Masters preview
You got
episode
it.
in the
You
back
got
nine.
it.
But as they say, you can't get to the back until you go to the front. And the front nine is presented by Metcalf Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. No surprise, golf season is getting here really, really close. And for a lot of courses, it's here. But for Metcalf, don't wait to start preparing for the upcoming golf season. Get on the wait list for memberships and leagues or purchase those game passes to start the season and save compared to regular green fees. Visit metcalfgolf.com to shop for those now. Okay. Okay. The weather has turned
Yes, for good. For
for
good now.
good.
Let's hope.
If you
Let's
look at
hope.
the long-term forecasts, there are no more
Snow.
snowfalls. There are no more minus 12 days. Here we go. Spring is
Yeah.
sprung. We are rocking. Courses are getting open, as you can tell from the fact that our website crashed about 10 times in the last 2 weeks. Thanks, everybody, for the interest in the course calendar. Um,
Appreciate that.
I think I've got all of the technical details resolved, but
Yeah.
um,
Bear with us.
yeah, you're gonna have to bear with us and bear with me because I am not a deep tech web coder. So trying to figure out what was wrong and what was crashing, it was a little bit of a chore, but I do think I got it figured out. So we should be good to go.
Let's hope so.
So here we are. Canadians on the tour, Canadians in general. This is just really becoming kind of one of those. exciting topics to have to talk about week after week after week. Is it, and
Yeah.
it's not just the pro, it's the collegiate, it's the juniors and stuff. But on the PGA Tour in particular, a lot of our Canadian guys, we're starting to really pay attention to more to what they're doing.
Right.
Because there always seems to be one or two of them or three of them in the mix, and this is
Mm-hmm.
week after week. This isn't
Yep.
like once in a while. Oh, there's a Canadian at the top in the
Mm-hmm.
top 10. This isn't not once in a while. This is every week. There's a Canadian or multiple Canadians in contention for a lot of these events, and the Valspar was
Yeah, it was no different.
nothing any different there. Mackenzie Hughes finished in a tie for third at
Yep.
the Valspar. He was right there.
He
Like, he
was.
was right there.
Yeah, it was a tight leaderboard, and it was just a matter of a stroke or two here or there, and he was definitely in the mix there enough that I will tell people. I may have mentioned on the podcast before, but when the Canadians get in contention, the PGA Tour sends out an email to some of us to basically indicate that they're going to have a possible winners conference with the Canadian, a separate one from the regular media conference, and that link will only be available if the player wins. But it's a joy on Sunday afternoon, very commonly now, to
Yeah.
start getting that link from the tour saying, "Hey, if X wins, and it's not the same player all the time, be prepared, and if you'd like to take part in the interview, here's the link. Boom, it'll happen at this particular time or whatever." So it's fun to see that happening almost every Sunday now, as much as that might interrupt the Sundays.
Now, what's exciting is, yeah, well, that's all right. That's all right. Interrupting the Sundays. Now, what's really exciting is, as we're here on this episode talking about, going into talking about the Masters, the finish that Hughes had now puts him in
Mm-hmm.
a really good spot, albeit he needs
Yeah.
to some good things has to go his way.
Yeah.
But essentially he needs a two-way tie for
Mm-hmm.
second or better. So
This week.
win and you're in anyway.
Yeah.
But a two-way tie for second or second solo or a win this week in Houston,
Yeah.
and he's to get into the top 50 to get into the Masters. So it's
It's
an
a
outside
possible,
chance. It's
but
possible,
it's
but
yeah.
some good things, and that has happened for a lot of players in the past.
Oh, for
Where
sure. Yeah.
they've won,
Yeah.
or done something really extraordinary this week,
Yeah.
in this
Yeah,
week's
and
tournament
this
to
one
get
is
in, right?
yeah, and this one's less about a win because obviously we go into into next week, and they can still get a win and they get in. This is about the top 50 being confirmed, the top 50 in the world in the OWGR. He's right there at 63 now. He did play in it last year. He was the only Canadian to make the cut last year, and we'll talk about that a little bit on the back nine when we start to talk about the Masters preview. But he's played well, but the other Canadians have certainly been in the spotlight early in the year, but this was big for him. Picked up nearly $500,000. But those majors are the big deal. He obviously, is in the signature events already. But these are the majors that you want to get into. You want that opportunity to play for those major championships.
Big time.
So he's obviously showing good form. So there's nothing to think that he might not play well here in Houston this week. And as you mentioned, he needs a two-way tie for second or better. And I'm sure he's targeting a win for sure.
No question. And with his top five finish, Hadwin now moves into second spot for Canada's potential Olympic team spot.
Yeah.
So good for him. That's
Yeah. Nick
pretty
Taylor
exciting.
obviously has the top spot there right now, and looking to see who is going to play for Canada at that Olympics on the men's side is it's up for grabs. I mean, it is back and forth here, with Hadwin, Hughes, and Connors, and I mean they're going to juggle it around and pass it around for a bit here. So there's a lot of competition. That's a big point of pride to be able to play in the Olympics in Paris this summer. So it's definitely something we want to pay attention to, as much as we're paying attention to things like President's Cup and multiple players getting on the President's Cup
Yeah.
from Canada. This is another thing that's happening that's super important to them, is that opportunity to be an Olympian.
Switching tours now, Stephen Ames continues to impress.
Oh yeah.
As he continues to work through his career on the Champions Tour now. Another solid week. He fires 3 rounds in the 60, 67, 68, 67, and finishes solo fourth
Yeah.
on the Champions Tour at the Hogue Classic Newport Beach. Now, what's extraordinary for that, that's a tied for eighth. That's a T8, a
Yep.
first, T16, T7, and a fourth in
That's
five
okay, right?
starts. It's
That's
not so
okay.
bad. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
it's
so
okay.
bad. I mean, it could have been better. I mean, there's a T16 in there, and
Oh, no, what a plug, eh?
I mean, that's outside the top 10. So I mean, that's a little
Yeah.
disappointing, Steven, but
Yes.
I mean, we can let it slide because of the winner, the win the previous event. We can
Sure.
let it slide, but
Just
in
this
the
time.
future, if you can just kind of stick around the top 10 situation a little bit more, that would be great. I don't like tie 16. I mean, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, he had an amazing season last year, multiple wins, and obviously has started, just on the same foot. He's super happy playing out there, playing well. His ball striking obviously lends itself well there, playing with all the confidence in the world. And you just expect every time I open the leaderboard for the Champions Tour, I expect to
Stephen
start at the
Ames.
top and see him kind of right in the mix there. So
Yeah.
continued success to him as they play in Palm Springs this week.
No, some junior golf stuff going on. Canadians in the junior golf scene down in the AJGA.
Yeah, two nice wins there, back to back. Actually, two players that won on the same week in two different events on the AJGA. Michelle Zing and Eileen Park. Michelle's from Richmond Hill, Ontario, I believe, and Eileen Park's from out in Alberta. They both won titles on the AJGA. That's Zing is 15 and Park is just 14. And
Unreal.
that's 2 weeks in a row for Eileen, who is an accomplished player already, and to see that level of success. I mean, they're playing down there on a consistent basis, and I had Nick Starchuk. I was having a chat with him, director of instruction at the National, who we know from growing up at Canada, and we were talking about the fact that there's so many of these good young Canadians now that are down and playing outside on grass in the wintertime. And we were discussing the fact that if these players want to have that level of success, they have to go down there and do that. You can't expect to shoot July scores in January if you're just hitting it off of mats and hitting it inside in simulators and going down there. Yes, you know what? You can have some success, but generally players will have to go down and prep
Yeah.
and sort of get ready. I know, for an example, for the drive, chip, and putt, Colton D from Kingston here, he's got a little bit of time now heading into that event, but he's already down south getting ready to get on real grass and chipping and putting and driving, and just to give yourself the chance to have
Yeah.
success. So to see Zing and Park play that well,
Mm-hmm.
great stuff, and nice to see those AJGA wins stacking up. And every week there's probably about 3-4 AJGA events, and I guarantee you, I look at those leaderboards, and there is almost every single event there's a Canadian in the top 10, which is great to see.
It's wild. It's wild. And uh, there's the Florida State Golf Association Junior Tour.
Yeah,
It's a golfer from Quebec,
yeah,
junior golfer from Quebec that has won a third event
in a row.
in a row.
Oh, sorry, third event. I think second in a row. Yeah, third
Okay.
event total.
Well, second in a
Emil
row, third event.
Yeah, Emile Lebrun, who a fine young player again, had a lot of success last year on the Golf Quebec circuit. He spends his winters in Florida playing that Florida State Golf Association Junior Tour. He's sort of we'll call him the male side of Anne Sophie Burgot from Gatineau on the girls side, who's also playing on that tour, who's had success this year. Emile is also playing a little bit some pro events at the minor league golf tour, and he's continuing to have success there. Great young kid, good follow on social media if you want to follow him there. Definitely go back and forth with him, and it's nice to see him posting the results. And these are generally his scores are all under par. This is not a kid that's, throwing up 76s here. This is generally, if I look on the scoreboard, he's shooting 4 or 5 under to win a lot of these 36 hole events, if not better. And again, great young talent, and another one of our fun Canadians to follow.
The many, 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 many Canadians to follow.
Yeah.
You jumped.
Actually, I'll mention one more actually quickly
Okay.
here. Mira Minas, who is from Burnaby, BC. She just won an event, the Southern California Open, Southern Colorado Open. She plays at Simon Fraser University, so that just happened 2 days ago. So I just want to mention that one as well. We're continuing to have more collegiate success with the Canadians, and if you follow us on X, you'll see a lot of that coverage that happens there as well. A lot of times it's just indications of top 10s, top fives, things like that. So it doesn't always make a full story and end up on the website, although we do compile some of them sometimes so that people can follow that. Two other ones there: Ashton McCullough, who followed up a win last week. He had a T5 this week. And then Ethan Wilson, who plays the University of Illinois, who's from Alberta, had a T8 this week as well. So more success there.
Yeah. Those lists just keep getting longer and longer longer all the time.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of stepped out of bounds before the at the beginning of the show and brought up playing the first round of golf, and so we've kind of thrown that.
But what are your expectations for that?
My expectations, but there aren't any. I mean, my expectations are I'm probably going to top one. I'm probably going to hit one in more than one into the bush. I'm probably going to make a whole whack of bogeys, and probably not going to make a birdie for about the first 2 weeks, and make a lot of pars. I don't really have expectations. I know some people go in with some specific expectations, but I guess it depends on the kind of player that you are. And what you're starting your season, like what that first round is about for you. For me, and probably for most just casual golfers. I mean, I guess I'm not really a casual golfer, but maybe more of one now than I used to be.
Yeah.
I just want to play. So I don't really care too much about, what I do or I don't do on the golf course. Whereas other people, they want to play well. They want to go out and I want to get that, those 70s, those scores in the 70s rocking right off the bat. And I just can't play golf that way anymore.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I don't look at it from a scoring perspective when I look at those expectations. I just look at what have I been working on in my golf game over the winter time, and do the things that I do in the winter, do they translate to ball flight when I'm outside on grass? It's looking for those glimmers of hope rather than looking for the scorecard. I really discourage people for getting the scorecard out first round of the year, and
I don't see what the point is. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even get it. I don't even get why you keep score. The conditions that you're playing under, no matter what a golf course did over the course of the winter, the only thing that they have control over to any level on their golf course is in the spring is the greens. And that really has a lot to depends on how they came through the winter. As far as the conditions,
and they're generally soft. They're generally soft and bumpy, or a little bit bumpier, anyways. But
the condition of the fairways, the condition of you can't control a lot of that until grass starts growing. You can't control a lot of that until the turf firms up, and you can control how the softness or the firmness of it. Right now, there's so much. The snow just melted. And it's been raining. There's moisture. The turf is soft right now. You're not going to go play a golf course around
like the golfers after the winter, right? I mean,
you're not going to go find a golf course right now where you're going to get dry, hard, fast fairways. I mean, you're going to get browned out, green spot fairways that are. Your ball hits and sticks and plugs most of the time.
And I think it's even less about the courses. I mean, I get it from a scoring perspective, but I think it's really about the golfer. I mean, you got to understand, in most cases, people haven't been outside. Even if you hit balls inside, you haven't been outside on grass hitting balls in decent weather conditions. Like, let's throw out your October round that you squeezed in when the wind was blowing sideways and it was raining or whatever. You haven't played outside in somewhat normal conditions. You haven't moved your body in the way that it needs to for 6 months. Right. So
if you're a snowbird, that's different. If if you go down south a lot and travel and play golf all winter, well, then you're your expectations should be higher as far as your ability goes, but
Right.
the
Yeah.
score,
I would just say to most people, just
throw
go
the
out there,
scorecard away.
put the scorecard away. If you use the scorecard, maybe just, put a smiley face next every time you make a
Yeah.
good shot or
Play
something
match
like
play,
that.
play match play with your buddies. That's
Exactly.
what you do.
Ex-
No
yeah.
scorecards, just play straight up match play. Do
Get out there, have a
two
walk.
person match play, best ball stuff. Like
Yeah.
just swing the club, hit the ball, see what happens. Have a pint afterwards, or
Enjoy
some
yourself.
food, and have a good time, and get ready
Yep.
for the warmer weather and the better conditions, which will come in another 30 days.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Hey,
sure.
it's all good. I'm good
Yeah,
with that.
exactly.
Um, Now, we had a poll that you stuck up on
Yep.
on the
X.
podcast web poll we're doing here, and on X, and the question, and I saw it was a question for Ask
Yeah, ask
Flagstick.
Flagstick. Yep.
That's the first place I saw it, actually, um, and because I am a TikTok guy.
And
Uh,
that wasn't if people ask. I had a couple people ask, they're like, is that Jeff that asked that question? As in you.
no,
And it was no, it was a different Jeff.
but
Just to let people
I
know.
appreciate the fact that when you think Jeff, everybody, you think me.
There you go.
That's pretty, you know what? That's pretty extraordinary for people to just automatically assume that anybody named Jeff is this guy. You
Well,
know,
I think it's because
I mean,
they see us
pat
together a
myself
fair
on the
bit.
back. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so the poll question was, do you play the
Yeah.
same model of golf ball every time you tee it up?
Yep.
Fair question.
Sure.
The poll would suggest that 60.5%,
One
half
half is
percent. We'll call it
important.
61%.
Sure. Round up.
61% of people polled on flagstick.com
Yeah.
or on X, whatever, I guess, um, said yes. They
Hmm.
play the same ball, whereas there's no splits here. It's 40%,
Yeah.
39%
Which I
said
think is
no.
different, which is different than, some of the responses we got years ago,
Hmm.
where a lot of people didn't really give it that much thought. So I think more people are giving that some thought and doing that. Some of it comes from just habit. People just
Hmm.
go and they pick up the same ball, the same brand, or something the case may be. But I think people are learning and understanding that there's performance benefits to getting used to it. And as I said in my response on the Ask Flagstick, it doesn't matter whether that's a premium ball or a value ball. The idea is the consistency of you getting used to
Hmm.
that ball, getting used to its how it reacts on the greens, how it spins, how it feels, and so forth. But seeing people that are doing that more, I think that's great. It's good to see. I don't know what's happening with the other 40%. They just try stuff. And I got a lot of
Hmm.
questions that
Yeah.
are from this. But I would suggest that some of those people that are on the 40% side will eventually shift over to the other side once they get comfortable with something and they realize, what, maybe I'll just keep using the same ball and not getting something random every time I tee it up.
Well, I'll tell you, I had an Ask Flagstick moment the other day,
All right.
and it was more someone randomly asking Jeff,
Okay.
and the question was they had for me was how do I decide what golf ball to play?
Mm-hmm.
Like how do I?
Yep.
There's all these golf balls out here. I'm just a casual golfer. I don't really want to spend a lot of money on balls. Like how do I know?
Sure.
Do I play this brand, this brand, this brand? And it was a really interesting question because I had to be honest. I said, you know what? A lot of this just comes down to what number one, what do you want to spend on golf balls? Because
Yep. Budget's a big
if I
factor.
tell you that you should be playing a premium ball like a Pro V1 or a Srixon Z Star or a TaylorMade
TP5X or yeah.
TP5 or TP5X, I can
Yeah.
tell you that's you should be looking at that. But if you can only spend $30 on
Mm-hmm.
a dozen golf balls, or you have a budget, then budget plays a factor in there. So I said
Obviously.
first
Yeah.
and foremost, you have to decide how much you want to spend on a golf ball.
Yeah.
And that's the start. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you tell me I don't really care, I just want the best ball I can get for me, well
Mm-hmm.
then I would say that it's probably a good idea to start with a good golf ball and try them out and
Sure.
see what feels right for you,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of them are going to have similar feels to them brand wise. There's going to be a lot of similarities with a high end ball that is, um, you know, has the X at the end of it or doesn't have the X at the end of it, whether it's a Pro V1 or a Z Star or a
Yep.
TP5, they're going to have a lot of similar characteristics of what they're designed to do. And then when you throw the X on the end of it, well, then that golf ball is going to have a different set of characteristics to it. So
there's different models within the premium ones for those.
But if you start with budget, say, okay, you know what, I don't want to break the bank here. Well, then you can rule out the $65, $70 ball. Just put it aside because it's not for you because it's not in your budget. So now go to your budget balls, and it's the same thing. You know, go to a golf course if you can. Get a few different sleeves of the different balls that you'd like to try. If you can go to a retailer that has an indoor putting green, start there. Start with putting. See how the ball feels when you putt it with a putter that's similar to the one that you use or not the same as the one you use. If you don't like how it feels when you putt, well, then I would put that golf ball aside, regardless of how it performs off the tee or in the fairway, because if you don't like hitting it with your putter, I'm sorry, but the majority of your strokes in a round of golf is probably going to be,
well, it's really that process of elimination that they have to go through. And, I encourage someone who, messaged me after that, go and try all the online fitting tools for each of the manufacturers. But then from there, as you said, grab a sleeve of each, go through and hit the appropriate shots, whether that's putting, chipping, short wedges, irons, woods, all the way through. And then you'll start to get a feel of kind of what is suitable for you. So
that was just an Ask Jeff moment, and I'm certainly not the expert when it comes to deciding what kind of golf ball you should or shouldn't play. For me, it's always been about the short game. Because for me, the long game is the long game. I really, to be honest with you, the golf ball off the tee or from the fairway is not really that big a deal for me. I'm always playing the same type of ball. But now I play a specific brand of ball now. And I love the ball, and I haven't played anything but that ball for years. So I'm locked into a specific ball. But one of the reasons I like the type of ball that I'm playing right now, with the for me it's this Rixon ball, but I have played all of the other ones too. I've played TP. I like them all. I just happen to be locked into this one right now, and I like the feel around the greens, and that's why I play that style of ball.
Let's carry this on to the back nine if we can. We're running out of time here.
So. Okay, yes, we are. Sorry. All right, we got to get out. When we come back, Masters time. You're listening to the Flagstick Podcast. We'll be right back.
When you golf on Prince Edward Island, there are over 400 fairways closer than you can imagine. Not to mention countless miles of pristine beaches and a rich world-class culinary experience. So get here fast, then take it slow and play around on Island Time. Golf Prince Edward Island.
All right, well, welcome back to the Flagstick Podcast with myself, Jeff Potter, and this other guy, Scott McLeod, the spinner of the hand, letting me know that we were running out of time. I had to get to break, and I wasn't paying any attention. I was locked in. I was focused on golf ball talk, and I was locked in. So, and now that we've had a break and I've taken a couple sips from my coffee, I completely forget the gist of what I was rambling on about. So let's just leave it at the fact that the golf ball is a personal preference, and that there are some performance components to it that are important to take into consideration. But for me particularly, I focus the type of golf ball that I chose to play was more based on, the 100 yards in sensation, not so much how far it goes off the tee, because I really think that most of them go pretty much the same distance off the tee.
I would say obviously you look at feel, you look at spin, you look at launch, how it performs going into the green as far as landing angle is concerned, but certainly short game, work your way backwards, because in most cases we can change up fitting with things like drivers and so forth to change launch characteristics and so forth. It's that short game stuff that it's a little harder to dial in that way. So you're bang on. Start at the green, work your way back.
And I would say the first and foremost, the one thing that you need to focus on is budget.
Budget for sure.
Before all other things considered, decide how much you actually want to spend on golf balls, because you will lose them, and they do cost money. And depending on the type of player you are, even if you have boatloads of cash in the pocket, maybe you don't want to be dropping
Yeah.
$70 a dozen on golf
Right.
balls.
Yeah. And one last note, make sure if you're going out to do an equipment fitting these days and you're looking and maybe something that's how you're looking at as far as your launch angles or your spin rates or whatever, make sure you ask the equipment manufacturer or talk to them about the golf ball that you use. Because sometimes I see adjustments being made for the equipment based on maybe somebody's spin rate, maybe it's too low or
And that
so forth.
changes depending on the ball.
Right. So that can be cured or changed. And sometimes if we all of a sudden start to maybe weaken lofts or so forth, you might be compromising other things like ball speed in order to get a little bit more spin in that case, for an example, whereas you can make a slight change in the golf ball, keep the speed, get the spin rate that you want. So don't be afraid when you're getting fit for equipment to talk about your golf ball as well. All right.
The golf ball talk thing, that's a pretty good topic. We should memory bank that.
Yeah, we'll
put that in the archives for discussion for another date, and
sure.
maybe that's even an episode where we have
somebody on
Kevin Haim and Jake Haim maybe jump on board with us for that episode to talk about from an instruction perspective and from a fitting perspective, since they do a lot of that stuff. What are we looking at with golf balls? So
especially given the spoke of the spoke.
The spoke.
The spoke.
How to spoke the spoke. I spoke to the spoke, and the smoke was a choke. Freaking choking. We haven't even got to the back nine officially yet.
Thinking about just the long term, over the years, how golf balls have changed and how that changes as far as the fitting and so forth. And I know, for an example, we're testing and doing a lot of different things with so many different golf balls right now, and people have a lot of questions about that. So we'll look at making that a whole
Sweet.
Other show by itself.
All right. Let's get out of here. Let's get at the back nine, presented this week by Celtic Golf Center, located only 20 minutes from Ottawa in Kemptville. Celtic Golf Center's indoor golf on another level, featuring 5 state-of-the-art TrackMan simulators and 2 new Unicore sims with GS Pro. Celtic Golf Center can offer over 10,000 options, including many major golf courses. One in particular that you might be interested in the next couple of weeks. It has a lot of azaleas. So play rounds with friends, practice with full swing analysis, and play golf games. Visit CelticGolfCenter.com to learn more or to book your tee times. Okay.
And 50th birthday today for Andy McWilliams.
There you go.
Happy birthday to
5-0 young buck.
Yeah, happy birthday to him.
You'll never catch me.
Yeah, there you go. So if you happen to go to the Celtic Golf Center in the next little while, make sure you bug Andy and hassle him and wish him
cheers. Clink the glasses. Happy 50th, Andy. Okay. We're going to talk about the Masters now.
Yeah.
That is the hot commodity right now, aside from being Easter weekend. Happy Easter to everybody. Enjoy your families this weekend. We're not hunting for Easter eggs here. We're hunting for facts. We're hunting for details. We're hunting for information on the Masters. So, where do you want to start? I was just saying, where do you want to start with this?
Well,
don't start mimicking.
Yeah, I think let's sort of let's just talk a little bit about from a player perspective, and people should understand here, we're not really focused on your bets, even though a bunch of them are making your bets. We just want to talk about the aspects of the players, what we think will happen, who's in form coming in here, who we might think our winner is going to be, dark horses, that sort of thing. Obviously, expectations for somebody like a Tiger Woods or top Canadians. Pick one. Let's go to it. Why don't we start with the Canadians that are qualified so far?
Okay.
And kind of let's chat about that a little bit. So we got 4 Canadians in the field so far. Mike Weir obviously is a former champion. Nick Taylor, who obviously has been having success this year. Hadwin, who's coming off at T5 and he's got another week ahead of him here. And Corey Connors, who's had some good finishes here, but last year wasn't so great for the Canadians at the Masters. Thoughts on all that?
Well, I mean, I don't think that the fact that they're Canadian has anything to do with why they don't finish well at the Masters. I think it comes down to when it comes down to certain people playing well at the Masters, I think a lot of it comes down to repetitiveness. And I don't think that, from Weir's case, I mean, that could just be nothing more than a skill versus age thing.
Senior.
I mean, he's a senior, right? So to expect him to play well, I mean, +8's not so bad. Better than I'd probably shoot, but
Yeah, he's +4
the other
last year.
ones, it's like they're not doing it year after year after year after year yet, right? So they don't have that luxury yet of being able to come back, every single year and play it and knowing the golf course and getting that
Well,
repetition,
I would
right?
say Connors now is at that point. I mean, he's had a couple of top tens here. He played there as an amateur. He's pretty familiar with the course. Svensson last year, who's not in it this year, he was a rookie last year going into it. But yeah,
But
you're
how
right.
many times has Corey Connors played the
I think he's at
Masters?
7 now.
Okay,
So he's
seven's
had a
not so
bunch.
bad.
He's
But how many
he's in
times has Brooks Koepka played it?
not that much more.
Yeah.
So again, there's not, but I familiarity definitely plays a part in that. And missing the cut last year, especially last year when the Saturday was cold and rainy, and obviously that's why Tiger ended up pulling out with plantar fasciitis. And it was gross weather last year. So when I look at the scoring last year, short of what ended up happening on the Sunday, those early in the week and that Saturday was pretty bad. So it sort of takes away the players, because I mean, if I look in the top 10 last year, nobody broke 70. 70 was the low in the top 10. On the Saturday, Victor Hovland had a 70 on the Sunday. But I mean, if you look at the average score, even John Rahm, who ended up winning, was 73 on Saturday. Kepka was 73 on Saturday. Phil Mickelson was 75 on Saturday. So I think last year was more an anomaly more than anything. But I think when we start to look at what our expectations now, I think our expectations are higher, just as we've talked
They
about.
certainly are higher. Like I really start to look at it less. Like we talk about how well the Canadians are doing because and we do that because there's so few of them out there. Whereas, if you're in the US, they're not talking about how well the Americans are doing at the Masters because pretty much the majority of the field is American. So it's not like it's like this small little group of people. In this case, 4 people last year. This year again, 4 people. Maybe we're lucky and
maybe we
Matt
get
gets
5.
in and we have 5. But you're talking 4 or 5 players in the field. So we focus on it.
Of course, we're Canadian.
But as far as golfers go,
yeah,
I'm not focused on oh, that's great that the Canadian did well against the rest of the field. No, these guys are Corey Connors, Mackenzie Hughes, Svensson, Hadwin. They're all just as good, in my opinion, as the Jordan Spieths and the Victor Hovlands and the Cameron Youngs. Like they're just as
the
good.
tour winners. The tour winners.
So I don't look at it as the Canadians and how they're doing it. We focus on the Canadian aspect of it because of the amount of them in the field. But as far as the quality of the golfer that's playing, and now this isn't like when they're amateurs and they play most of their golf in Canada. They're on the PGA Tour now. They play all of their golf in the States. They live down there. They're not living in Toronto and traveling to the US to play the PGA Tour all the time. They're living down there. They're practicing down there. They're playing down there. They're essentially just like another player on the tour.
But that all said, who do you think among them will be? And again, it's it's a throwout, but obviously, I think Taylor is probably the favorite given his play early in the year.
I think so, but I really like Connor's ball striking. Like, I don't know about the putting. I think Taylor might be the better putter. But
Agreed.
Connor's, as far as ball striking consistency, he's and Augusta is really kind of about positioning. It's less. I mean, the short game is extremely important.
Sure,
but being able to consistently hit fairways, being able to consistently hit fairways in the right spots, and then being able to consistently hit greens and in the right spots is a super important part of the playing Augusta National. So I would, my personal opinion, I would give the edge to Corey Connors probably. But
I agree with you there.
Splitting hairs on why.
I think the one thing that might hurt Taylor a little bit, it's going to depend on the course conditions as we head into the week. Nick's not as long. and we're talking a 7,500 yard golf course. And despite the fact that you can win, just laying up and pitching into the par fives, a la Zach Johnson, Mike Weir, and you have the skill to do it. There's more than one way to do it. There's definitely a significant advantage if you can hit the ball down there a little bit longer. So, Nick has to make up for that in other ways. So there's certain golf courses that obviously he performs better on, and can perform, and score better on for sure. But yeah, I would definitely, I think because Corey's proven it as well, having those top 10 results and getting in there and having those, he had those back-to-back ones, he's proven. But is his form in good shape? Hard to say. He's definitely, as you said, he's got to tame that flat stick, because you've got to be able to control your speed. You've got to be able to make critical putts here. You can't just dummy the golf ball around the golf course and then not make the putt.
And if Hughes gets in, then does that change that thought? Because here's a guy then that is playing with a lot of momentum and confidence, coming into a tournament,
and one of the best putters.
So that changes things a little bit. Do I go with Mackenzie Hughes instead of Corey Connors? I think I'm kind of leaning that way if he gets in. If he doesn't get in, I would lean towards Corey Connors being the top Canadian, unless Mike Weir pulls nostalgia, and goes bionic.
I'm not expecting that. Yeah, you know what? He's a busy guy. Obviously getting ready as the international captain for the President's Cup. A lot on his plate, and you can see that too in his Champions Tour results. They haven't been as sharp as they could be. He's got a lot of stuff going on. But well, let's look back at last year. Obviously, Jon Rahm got the win last year, won by 4, 69 on Sunday. What are our thoughts on his ability to maybe go back to back? Now that he's tamed it, because we know that, historically when players have success or find success here, and have won a green jacket, they kind of know the formula, right? So we see them continue to have success, whether that's a Phil Mickelson, or who knows what's going to happen with a Scotty Scheffler. We look at that leaderboard from last year, and Patrick Reed, a Jordan Spieth. These are guys have won here before. So what are your thoughts on Rahm heading into this, and do we expect him to be contending again?
Here's the problem. I haven't really paid a whole lot of attention to anything that Live guys are doing. So I can't say, well, how's he playing on Live? Because Live is the party bus. So
party bus. I love it.
I don't. Even if you're playing well on Live, I don't see that as the same thing as playing well on the PGA Tour, because the check's already in the bank. The music's already blaring, and you're just out there, having a grand old time. Sure, they're still working on their games. So let's not.
He's still a skilled player.
Yeah.
Right?
Do I think that he's going to repeat the Masters? My short and quick answer is no. Do I think somebody from the Live Golf Tour is going to play well at Augusta? My guess is that probably 50% of your top 10 are probably going to be the top guys from Live, the Jon Rahms, the Koepkas,
we obviously saw that last year, and Koepka and Mickelson were playing that tour last year and tied for second, so they were in the mix, including,
and Rahm won, and Rahm's on Live now. So
and Rahm wasn't playing then, but now he is.
And so, Cam Young,
Patrick Reed.
Patrick Reed was, so do I see Patrick Reed playing well there? It suits his game. That golf course suits his game, because most of the holes move right to left. So it sets up really well for the hooker. But I don't know. Scheffler's playing unconscious right now. So I kind of like to give maybe the best chance to him. And then I look at this, and I'm trying to think because I haven't really looked at the whole list of who's in the field, but there's some players that have been playing particularly well.
And Scheffler would obviously be the key one there.
And Schauffele too. That's two guys that have played really, really well. God, I don't know, man. It's
Well, let's think of this. I mean, Scheffler, for an example, I mean, he's played 118 events now on the PGA Tour. He's averaging almost $500,000 earned per event. I mean, this is a guy who, is in the mix all the time. In most books, I mean, I've got the odds up there from CBS Sportsline, which, are sure to change in the next week or so, but I don't expect Scheffler to move from that. He's in at a 5-1. He's the leading favorite right now based on his momentum, how he's playing, his past success there as well, which again kind of lends into some different things in a major. He's looking fairly unflappable, but yeah, I mean, Rahm, I think, is a little bit further down. I mean, he's still in at 13-1, so I don't think you can discount them.
no.
And I should say, based on looking at the odds, all the winners from 2017 on have been at 50-1 bet or better. We haven't had any long shots winning since then. And not to say a long shot can't be in there, but
No. I mean, look, it's a good field of players, and anything can happen. Scheffler was there before all these guys went to live too. So I mean, Scheffler was top of the heap as
when everybody
well
was there.
When everybody was there.
Yeah,
so it's not like Scheffler claimed the crown after Rahm and Koepka and DeChambeau and all those guys left. He was already at the top of the heap when they left. So it's not that wasn't going to change. Some of these other guys, McIlroy was also at the top of that heap when everybody left. So,
but yet to win the title though, he hasn't won the Masters yet. So.
Yeah, well, maybe this is the year.
Maybe it's his time. Is it his time?
He's playing well.
Is he playing well enough though?
I don't know. I mean,
you
only have to play well enough for 1 week, right?
Yeah. I mean, one player that is high up there for a lot of people right now, who's obviously had some success, has been Wyndham Clark. The only thing about Wyndham Clark is that this week, he said he tweaked his back. It's getting better, so that said, his odds might go up, but he might make it a good bet that way. Physically super strong guy. Got a lot of confidence going on. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the mix there. I mean, if you look at the names of the players that are under 50-1, who jumps out that could be a winner there that maybe not everybody is taking, or who do you think is kind of overrated within
Ludwig Aberg?
Yeah.
I like that. I've liked him from back when the first time I saw him hit a golf ball at the BMW Championship. When he was battling with McIlroy and the top dogs down the stretch at the BMW Championship, and that's a DP World Tour thing, isn't it? That's not a PGA. I wasn't a PGA Tour.
Yeah, it was a BMW PGA Championship. Yeah.
Was it the PGA?
It's the BMW PGA.
Oh,
it's in Europe. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. And I was impressed then, and I was impressed at the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
And I'm still impressed with what he's done on the PGA Tour.
Sure, getting that win at the RSM, beating out Mac Hughes there. I mean, he's got the tools for sure.
Oh yeah, he hits it. I like a lot. I mean, I don't know if you consider that a dark horse pick. If you're saying, "Oh, what's my dark horse?"
No. He
24-1 odds. I wouldn't say that he's a dark horse pick.
Dark horse has got to be over 100-1. So
we'll get
that in a minute.
I would say that he certainly is not a obvious pick, but if I was a betting man, he'd definitely be one that I would expect to be in the top 5, if not a possibility to win.
Yeah, I would definitely back that one up. Joaquin Niemann playing well, not just on live. It's other stuff. He's been chasing it to get in this as well.
Yes.
He's coming at 31-1 right now, and he's definitely somebody to keep an eye on from experience wise, confidence wise. That's the helpful fact for him, that he's been there and played there before. Versus Ludwig. I think Justin Thomas is very overrated right now.
I don't understand that one at all. There's nothing about that guy's golf game that has shown me that he is like I'll be honest. he didn't deserve to be on the Ryder Cup team to begin with. He should never have been there. That should have been Keegan Bradley at least on that team,
Agreed.
not Justin Thomas. I
Yep.
don't even know why he's in the conversation here. Not to say that the guy's still not a great player, but everything that he's shown me,
he's not showing form.
Is that he's not good enough. You know, even at the Players Championship, he was there and then he wasn't. And you know, it just, you know, even the Valspar, he was in the Valspar.
I think form is just so important going into this. I mean, you can't form overtakes experience. I'm sorry. Experience will gain you a little bit, but if you're not in form as far as feeling confident about your swing and doing the things you need to do to get the golf ball in the hole, you just can't overcome that. So
I like a lot of guys on this list. I like Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, that would be
there's a lot of things I like about that guy. Odds on him should be way higher than Justin Thomas. Should be way higher than Patrick Cantley. Probably should be up in the same area as Schauffele and Zalatoris and Hovland. But whatever. I'm not a bookmaker. I'm not an odds maker. So
no. And a lot of that's based on where people are putting their money, and sometimes people are putting their money not on form. They're just, you know, they have a romantic attachment to that name based on something else, and that's the case. So let's look at over the long shots, which are really in the dark horses, which are really over the 100 to 1. One, who among that would you like to see play well, and who maybe do you expect to play well? That's a different thing.
Oh, it's certainly an interesting one, eh? Like, I mean, I don't want to cross Tiger off the list, but I mean, you know, come on, the guy, he might make the cut. If that's 160 to 1 to make the cut, I'm taking that bet. But if that's 161 to win, I'm not taking that bet. I'm not taking
74, 73 last year before he withdrew. So
I mean, again,
not great conditions, but still, it's look, we haven't seen him since the Genesis. So
no, I mean, it's an interesting little list you got here, Scotty Mac. It's an interesting little list. I like JT Poston.
Yep. There's a quiet guy who's getting some stuff done, who, you know, could sneak up on a lot of people, despite the fact that if they look at the leaderboard, they might not get too excited about it. But the dude can play.
Geez, there's some good. Keegan Bradley is a possibility.
How did I know you're going to look?
I don't know how. You know, you talk about a guy that gets no respect.
Yeah.
How is this guy? Like, how are you 190 to 1 and Justin Thomas is 28 to 1? Like, this guy's got to be looking at that list after what happened with the Ryder Cup and getting the no call last year, going, how is this possible? I am a better player than this guy right now. I'm playing better than this guy right now. Why is this happening to me? Keegan I like. I'm not so big on Ricky. I mean, I feel like there's something that'd be like a wheel dark horse there. I know my son Brandon loves Ricky.
I think that would be a very popular win for sure. You know, he has definitely shown some form. I'd have to look back at his record, but you know, he's been in the mix there a few times, but it's been a while since he's been in the mix there. But it definitely would be a popular.
Now, can I go just slightly above your 100 to 1?
Okay,
slightly above your 100 to 1. Tom Kim.
Yeah, he's sort of cooled off a little.
I know, but you know, I did.
But yeah, he's got game.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, just slightly above your 100 to 1.
And that would be popular too. I mean, again,
I like that guy.
He's got got a cool energy about him, and that would be a good one to see in the jacket as well.
Jeez, I don't know, some of these other ones that just they don't. I mean, there's obviously anybody off this list can be good any week at any time on any course.
Do you think? But okay, so if you think Ricky's a good story, how good of a story would it be if Gary Woodland contended? Coming off of brain surgery, you know, getting back to the tour, obviously it was emotional as it was coming back.
That would be huge.
That would be, I mean, I think I have chills even just thinking about that, as far as, that would be a really cool storyline to see
And he's the
I think for
All-American
sure.
guy too, right? Like
Oh,
that's
very
just he's
much.
like very much into the vets and
Yeah.
the whole the U.S. flag and
Yeah.
rah 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 and all that kind of stuff, which is good. I'm
It's
fine
just
with that. But it's
a
just
great dude. Yeah.
it's just such a good person. And yeah, no, this is
It's gonna be
gosh.
fun, like
I mean,
every
you look
year.
at the bottom there, you look at these 1,000-to-1 guys. It's like, I mean,
Would
how
you,
good a story would it be if couples found some nostalgia and friggin'
well, he
dropped the 4 rounds
has.
of 60s in the he's quite capable of it,
Yeah, but
you
it's just
know.
like, but even then he said, the golf course has gotten past him a little bit. When all of a sudden you're 7,500 yards, if it's not playing firm, not playing fast, and you're in a situation where
Yep.
holes like 11 that are 500 plus, even though it's, plays off an elevated tee, you start having to hit longer clubs into some of these par fours, which, as we know, when we start talking about the golf course here, it has, certain demands on you. And, there is a definite advantage of having a shorter club in your hands. So, time and time just sort of is undefeated when it comes to those players.
Yeah.
But it's fun to see them in the mix, and even Bernhard Langer contending and being there, and he's not going to be there this year because he blew out his Achilles playing pickleball. But I mean, yeah, it's still fun to see those players there.
Freaking pickleball.
Pickleball. All right,
Stop stop
let's
with the
get to the
pickleball.
golf course a little bit.
Yeah, because we're
And
gonna get up against time here pretty
yeah,
quickly.
let's
So
talk a little bit about, obviously there's a lot of holes that people will talk about all the time. For you, what are the highlights that you look at related to the golf course as far as
probably
hole
1
numbers?
through 18.
Okay, so that's a
I
good
just
choice.
I'm just
Good
being
choice.
brutally honest. No, I did make a couple of notes here for
All
me.
right.
Uh, first hole for me, first hole that comes to mind is 11.
Hmm.
And what I really like about 11 is how so much of that hole is affected or set up by what you do off the tee. Now that's true of a lot of golf holes, but this one because of how sharply as it goes down the hill and people watching on TV, you've been there, I haven't been there, but I mean obviously I know
Mm-hmm.
from an elevation perspective how much that hole moves downhill. And if you're not in the right spot in the fairway on that hole, the second shot in becomes increasingly difficult because everything from your second shot, everything from the tee down, but everything from the second shot in moves towards from the right to the left,
Yeah.
hard right to left. And we're not talking a subtle little bounce here and there. If the ball hits the ground short of the green, it starts to kind of just trud its way down the hill and it continues to move left.
Yeah.
So you don't really want to be doing that. You kind of want to be in a position where you can throw the ball onto the front edge of the green and let it come back because anything that hits the front of the green, for the most part, releases to the back of the green and left. And what's cool about that hole is they've made it easier in the sense that with when they started growing the rough up at Augusta and it was less of fairway and green, and now you've got the second cut in there. That area around on the 11th towards the water,
Mm-hmm.
that used to be shaved right down,
Mm-hmm.
and balls would hit anywhere left of that area, and it would roll down the hill, and they would just keep rolling into the water. Now they can get hung up in the rough a little bit, but you still don't want that because it'll probably still go down the hill.
Yeah. Tough
So
shots there.
11 would probably, I know we're up against some time here, unfortunately, but
Yeah. Keep going.
for me, 11 is important. And the other two holes that I really like because of how they affect the outcome of the round, also on the back nine, are 16.
Yeah.
I love the significant slopes to the green and the
Sure.
need to hit the ball in the proper areas to avoid having to pull off miracle chips like Tiger did back in 05.
Mm-hmm.
And I particularly like the 18th hole, mainly because of the narrowness of the tee shot,
Right.
how it sets up and makes the hole what it really is. After that, the green is a difficult green because of the bunkering around it and the fact that it's all
But you got to get
uphill.
off that tee. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to get through that shoot up tee. So those
Yeah.
are my three. I
Yeah.
like them all, but if I had to pick, those are my three. Now you
Yeah.
had a couple of different ones in there.
Yeah, I'll just quickly kind of rip through them here. I mean, one, I think a lot of people, it's a sneaky hard hole.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. I mean, one, players, if you talk to the players, they'll tell you how hard that tee shot is from a nerve perspective. The fact that you can't get out of position, the green is very severe, and you want to get your tournament started in a positive way. And if you get out of position off that tee shot, and then you're coming in on an odd angle into the approach, you can end up making a big number really fast. A lot of people obviously look at 13 and 15, those par fives. It is a harder tee shot on 13, but that approach on 15, where you really have to be precise, whether you're going for it in 2 or going for it in 3. There's so much slope there. When you're standing at the top of the hill and you look down, it's almost like an infinity green, so you can't really see the depth that's there. So it really throws you off. You've got to be really trusting of the yardage and where you need to land the ball. And if it's a little bit short and on that front part, obviously rolls back. If you get over the back edge, it can go wildly beyond the green, and that makes a very difficult shot that way. The other hole that I've loved in person is number 3, to short par 4. Somebody like Max Homey said, he said it's a precise little hole that gives you a lot of things to think about. I'm not surprised I didn't have a birdie on it yet, or don't have a birdie on it yet.
Yeah.
He said, originally he thought it was a birdie hole, and he's realized now that it's very important just to make 4 there and move on. Short par 4 where you can drive it up sometimes onto the edge of the green or really near it, but it's so tiny in that green surface, and really is super precise. And I think sometimes players just sort of think it's a little bit of a throwaway hole, but the more they play it, they realize the challenge and the difficulty of that. So spectators as well, I think, pay attention to that hole. So yeah,
there you go. And now that years have passed and we get to see the front 9 and the back 9 on a regular basis, the old days you only got to see the back 9 at the Masters. So for 1 through 9, you never really got to see other than a picture on an overhead or a scorecard. There were no highlights of it or anything like that. So that's cool. There's so many holes at Augusta that have so many different idiosyncrasies to them that make the golf course so special. Is it the best golf course that they play on the tour? I would say no. But is it the golf course that really can be one of the more challenging ones if the conditions set themselves? It would be the best case scenario as a viewer watching the Masters is they get a week of warm, sunny weather that dries the golf course out. If that happens, the scores will not be as low, and you'll start to see a little bit more carnage from time to time, and you'll really see how good these guys can be. If Augusta is wet,
it's
then
sort of
24 under is going to win it, and it's going to be everybody shooting darts, especially when they get to the back 9, because they can throw a fairway wood onto the 13 and 15 and stop it. So, it takes the fun out of it a little bit. But so let's pray for some nice, warm, hot, sunny, dry weather for Augusta for the Masters, and we'll have ourselves quite a little tournament.
Yeah, I'd like to see kind of 10 to 12 kind of be a nice score. 20's the record there, but
or +2.
That happened in the fall. Yeah, you know what? You just want it to be a really good test of golf and a really precise test. And I think the players appreciate that as well, because it really showcases their work and what they're doing from a skill standpoint. And if you can go ahead and you hit a shot and you do it exceptionally well, and then someone else gets away with a poor shot and you don't get rewarded, then it sort of kind of takes the steam out of it. So these players want to be rewarded for their ability.
Yeah, what we don't want to see in any of these tournaments, majors or otherwise, is we don't want to see that double beat or bogey beats double. That's not what we want to see. We want to see good
Quality
shot
shots.
making. Some guys holding putts, but having to make good shots, not just being able to throw a ball at some of the trickiest greens that they play on the tour and having it stick 6 inches from the hole because the green is so soft that the ball doesn't bounce past the hole, or that it doesn't do. It's like playing Carnoustie. You play Carnoustie and there's no wind and it's wet.
Not the same.
It's not the same golf course as when Van de Velde crapped the bed there.
No, it just means it just means that it brings 2 different skill levels closer. When it should be separated more.
That's what a major is supposed to do, right? A major is supposed to separate the skill levels. If it doesn't, then it doesn't play like a major, it just plays like another tournament.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing. We got about 4 minutes here. Last thing, question to ask. Would you pay?
What would you pay?
What would you pay for a green fee to play Augusta National? If you were able to play Augusta National and pay a green fee, is sky's the limit? Do you have a cap? What are you willing to pay?
I think that's a question for everyone. I mean, everybody
for
is
sure.
It's going to be, we'd like to hear that back from people as well. What would you pay?
You know what? Next week, web poll.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's the web poll.
100%.
Then we'll get everybody's answer, and then we can bring it up on the podcast at the end of the week, right, on T-Day. For me, it's going to depend on what the top end is, because I mean there is a limit to my bank account, right? So would I pay $1,000 to play Augusta National? Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
I would play $1,000. Would I pay $2,000? We're getting into territory, above $1,000. I gotta question whether it's really worth it to play it. Anything above $1,000, I certainly have to sit long and hard and think. It wouldn't be like a quick answer. If somebody picked up the phone tomorrow and said, "Hey, Bods, it's the Augusta National calling. We got a tee time open for you, but it's $1,000. Are you in?" And then that phone call, I'm like, "Yep, I'm in. When am I playing? Oh, I got to leave tomorrow. Okay, I'm done. Gone. See you later." If they call me up and say, "Yeah, it's a $5,000," I'm like, you know what? I think I'll just play Metcalf.
I think I'll pay
it's across the street. I'm a member there. I think I'll just go there. I mean,
it'll be very interesting to see kind of the high, the low for what people pay, and kind of where the median falls.
I paid $500.
Yeah,
times 3 because you and Tony Harris. So I paid $1,500 for 3 of us to play Sawgrass,
which is pretty much the green fee now. It's $900 US now.
Yeah. Would I pay would having paid $500 and already played it, would I pay $9 now? Nope. I like the golf course. That's all good, but no.
But
Augusta, first time, maybe never get a chance.
You don't want to
again.
put it on a number now, or that's your number?
1,000 is my quick answer number. Let's put it to you that way. I might go 1,500, but 1,000 is my quick.
I'll go 1,500 to 2K, and then we'll talk about it more next week.
Okay, sounds like a plan. All right, we got to jump out. Thanks to all our sponsors: Metcalf Golf Club, Celtic Golf Center. Presenting sponsor this week: Golf PEI. Golf Prince Edward Island's premier golf destination, boasts the most number of golf courses per capita, with over 400 fairways closer than you think. Top-tier accommodations, exquisite culinary experiences. It is the easiest golf vacation you will ever book. Book those tee times at golfpi.ca. Be sure to follow us across social media: Instagram, X, Facebook. Subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to hit the YouTube channel. Like us, click the notification bell. Never miss a single episode. Get to flagstick.com for more content every day. I appreciate you tuning in. But until next week, I'm Jeff Botter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.